So I know a lot of people think that the Grade 0 Cyber Dragon deck is pretty bad in character duels, and I'd just like to say that that's not true. Like the base Cyber Dragon deck is already pretty good. You just have to play slow and just activate Overflow until you win. But man, if you have enough grades to upgrade the deck becomes really, really scary. And it has just became even more scary with the addition of Cyber Dragon Herds, which is from the newest update in character duels. They allowed you to play this card, and this card just kind of fills in some of the holes that the deck previously had and allows you to kind of do combos that you previously couldn't. Like the biggest application of Herds is that it allows you to search Cyber Dragon Core by only making the fusion. So previously, if you had like say Fusion Gate plus a Cybernetic Fusion support, what you would do is activate Fusion Support, activate your skill, put 2 Cyber Dragons on your field, and then you can make Rampage Dragon and then attack 3 times, and that's kind of it, right? But now what you can do is when you send the 2 Cyber Dragons with Rampage Dragon, you can send 2 Cyber Dragons, one of them being Cyber Dragon Herds and the other one being Cyber Dragon Core. And because Core is treated as the OG Cyber Dragon when in the graveyard, what you can do is use the effect of Herds, and then instead of adding the Cyber Dragon from the deck, you can add Core from your graveyard, and that basically means Rampage Dragon can now search Cyber Dragon Core, which is really, really huge. Previously, you have to rely on drawing Core or drawing Cyber Emergency to have access to Core, and that makes some of your hands quite bricky if you don't have access to it. But now the deck becomes even more consistent, and your explosive turn 2 combos become even more explosive. And if you're playing the version that plays more back row and 0 Fusion Gate, it also helps with the deck by giving you more targets for Cybernetic Overflow because the Herds is a level 1, and also it adds another Cyber Dragon to your hand from your deck, and that's like another Cyber Dragon that you can banish, so you have even more things to banish with Overflow. And then, I mean, situationally, you can use it to make your monsters level 5, I guess. You can use it to, I don't know, make Nova, but Nova is not really good in this format. And not really worth the grades that you could be using on your deck, in my opinion at least. But that is definitely a playstyle that you can be playing with the new update that is in character duels. But other than that, the deck is pretty much exactly the same as what I have been playing even before the new update. And as a side note, you should be putting Chronicle effects on all of your cards if you are just going to one-trick a deck in character duels like I am, right? The deck that I am playing the most in character duels as like a casual daily 30 respect orbs playthrough is Cyber Dragons. So what I've done is that I've applied Chronicle effects on every single one of my cards. And what that does is that because activating Chronicle card effects gives you more points at the end of the game, it just adds like 1 or 2 more respect orbs after every game just by having a deck full of Chronicle cards. So I definitely recommend that you do that if you have like a single deck that you play a lot in character duels, and that will massively help you reduce the amount of time that you spend every day to get the daily 30 respect orbs. So yeah, the aim of the deck, pretty straightforward, is just to OTK, and even if you don't go second, having Cybernetic Overflow is also a really, really good form of removal, and you don't actually need to play 3 copies because it's really searchable with the Cyber Dragon cores, and especially now that we have even more ways of searching core, you really don't need more than 2 copies of Overflow because realistically you don't really need this card going second, it's only good going first, so playing 2 is enough, you can search it. And Cybernetic Fusion support actually got a bit better with the inclusion of Hertz because now, as I mentioned in the combo, you can use Cybernetic Fusion support to get into Rampage, and then Rampage can actually get you into Core. So now this card is also kind of a searcher for Core if you have a way to Fusion summon. So yeah, pretty much it. Let's have a look at some replays. Okay, game 1 we are facing a tough matchup. Usually if you play against a hero deck, it is an auto loss because that deck just has all the outs to the strategy of your deck. They have bigger monsters, they can negate your attacks, they have protection from overflow. It's just overall a really tough matchup, but this replay basically shows you what we can still do against a tough matchup like this and what we can do to kind of crack their setup. So we're going first. We don't actually have any non-engine, but that is, believe it or not, still enough to break their board. We can use the first overflow, attempt to destroy their Neo's fusion, plus all of their back row. We can clear the 2 Book of Moons in their back row, and spend the Neo's fusion protection from the graveyard. And then during our next turn, we can activate our second overflow because it is once per turn. And now that they don't have any back row, we are free to combo, we can make our fusion, we can activate our overflow. Chain Link 2 in response to our own Rampage Dragon targeting our own trap. This is like a little trick you can do to get a little bit more mileage out of your trap, because when you pop your trap, you get to search another card. And this is also useful if you want to search like a third trap, but we're not playing that, so we're just gonna search like a random fusion spell, and then we can just attack. And even if he negates one of the attacks, we can attack 3 times, so that's still lethal. Okay, in our second game, we're playing against a mirror match. Our opponent is playing a really similar build of Cyber Dragons. They're also playing with Fusion Gate. But one thing that they're not playing is Cyber Dragon Herds, and this replay shows you why you should be playing Cyber Dragon Herds in your Cyber Dragon deck, no matter what kind of variation that you're playing. They're going to activate Fusion Gate, which, fun fact, did you know that Fusion Gate can be activated by both players because it is a pretty old field spell, and usually the old field spells lets both players use the effects. So in the draw phase, we can banish one of our opponent's back row and then use Cybernetic Fusion support to trigger our skill. And then we can actually use our opponent's Fusion Gate to Fusion Summon without needing to use the one in our hand. They're gonna try to activate Overflow, but that doesn't really work because we already activated the Fusion support, which allows us to Fusion Summon in the graveyard. So they can't pop their own Fusion Gate with the Overflow, which means that we can still make the Fusion monster. The only thing they can do right now is to make a really big Over Dragon and hope that we can't win this turn, but that's completely fine, because we can now search core by sending Herds plus core with Rampage, and then adding a Overflow to our hand, and then just set the Overflow and just wait till next turn, because our opponent has used all of their follow-up. They can't beat our Overflow plus the 2 fusion spells, so they're just gonna scoop. So yeah, pretty fun deck, definitely recommend checking this out. Thanks for watching, goodbye.